Thank you very much for coming back on the show.
It is wonderful to see you, Dave.
Good to have you with us. Many things I would like to ask you, but first of all, are you still smoking cigarettes? Because
Nicorette.
The gum.
Well, it's my wife, actually. That she gave out my secret to the world, and then told America, if you see him, turn him into me.
Yeah.
And I'm terrified of her.
How long have you been? How long have you been smoking cigarettes?
Oh, you know, on and off. You know, you'd pick it up when you're writing a book or campaigning or, you know, low stress activities like that. So I decided right before running for president, that's the optimal time to stop.
That's right, sure. Yeah. But I was thinking, and it's certainly not a good thing to be smoking cigarettes. It's a nasty, horrible habit. But it might be fun if we had a president who smoked. You know, just, how you doing? You know what I mean? Just kind of cool.
Blow smoke in the face of the Iranian president.
Yeah, whatever you need to do. Yeah. And you see, now you're using the gum, so you're okay. You still smoking? Or are you okay with it?
No, the gum's working good.
Yeah, working good.
Yeah,
oh
absolutely.
boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I could use some now.
How do you like being a senator now? It's been two full sessions, 2 full years, right?
Being a senator has been terrific. We are now in the majority, which means at least we can stop some bad things from happening. In the Senate, you need... in the Senate, though, you need 60 votes to actually get a bill passed. And you know, we still haven't persuaded some of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle to straighten up, so we may need another election for that.
And also in terms of legislation, there is the ultimate, the veto, right?
There is the veto, and you know that needs even more votes to overcome. And I know that the president has threatened to veto the most recent bill that we've sent forward, putting a timetable on how much longer we're going to be in Iraq.
So where does that leave us?
Well, we'll see what the president does. I think that if he looks at the legislation, and I had put forward a bill back in January that said we should start a phased redeployment starting on May 1st of this year, having our combat troops out by March 31st of next year. The bill that we passed sets a March 31st target date, at least in the Senate. If he vetoes that, I think we are going to represent him with a bill that conditions in some way how he spends the money so that we can start creating a situation in Iraq where the Shia, the Sunni, and the Kurd come together for a political accommodation, because we're not going to be able to impose a military solution on what's become a sectarian civil war.
Right. And I think everybody is in favor of American men and women coming home, but still, what really, now you mentioned a political process to establish a truce, but what's the likelihood of that?
Well, I don't think there's any likelihood as long as we're there to keep a lid on things, because right now the Iraqis and countries like Iran and Syria are able to sit on the sidelines and watch us flounder. They can engage in irresponsible activity at the same time as they don't really have a stake in bringing about a more peaceful solution. And so we're going to have to, I think, be much more aggressive in terms of diplomacy in the region, both inside Iraq and outside of Iraq. And I think we can say to the various parties in Iraq that we want to be partners with you. We want to help you rebuild your country, but we're not going to be able to do it simply by sending more and more young men and women. And you know, when I'm in Iowa or New Hampshire or Illinois and you meet mothers and fathers who've lost their children there, and they ask, why are we still there? It's very hard to give them a good answer.
It's just horrible. It's just, the whole thing is just horrible. It's a horrible mess, but what happens if we leave, and everybody I think would like to get out of there, and we still get a horrible mess, and then we find out that there's trouble, as you mentioned, from other countries? Do we then just go back into other countries?
Well, I don't think we can be as careless getting out as we were careless getting in. I think we have to think through how we get out. We've got to do it in a phased fashion. We've got to have some flexibility. We've got to make sure that our commanders on the ground and our troops are actually protected, and they've got the night goggles and the body armor and all the equipment that they need. And we've got to train up the Iraqi forces more effectively. But what we can't do is simply stay the course that we've been on over the last several years. It's not working.
Mess, it's a horrible, horrible mess.
There are no good options in Iraq. At this point, there are bad options and worse options.
Right. It was whether you believe we should have gone in there or not, still it's our mess, it's our war, and we need to do something. And I think self-preservation, as you point out, is first.
We have strategic interest there. We've got humanitarian interest in making sure that there's not a complete bloodbath. But if we continue on the course that we're on right now without any significant change in course, we could be there for the next 10 years and see just a slow bloodletting both of Iraqis and also of U.S. troops. And we're also spending $100 billion or more each year in Iraq that we could be spending on building schools and hospitals and roads and bridges here in the United States and rebuilding our economy.
Now, here's an impossible question. At the end of the day, let's say there is some resolution. What will one have learned from this experience?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we can learn. Number one is you don't go to war based on faulty intelligence. You tell the American people the truth. I think the decision to go to war is the most profound one that a commander-in-chief can make, and that means that you've got to tell the American people exactly why you're going. You have to have built legitimacy in the international community, because even though we've got the most powerful military on earth, once we're there, we're going to need help from other countries to make sure that we can actually win the peace. And I think that the other thing we've got to recognize is that the threats that we've got now from Al-Qaeda and other terrorist networks, the way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Now other than wanting to lead your country and make things better, is it a good time now to be wanting this office? Because look what you're or anybody for that matter, look what you have ahead of you. I mean, this is not going away before the new president arrives.
I suspect that Iraq is still going to be on the table when the next president is sworn in. I think we've got major budget problems. We've got a healthcare system that is broken. But I also think there are enormous opportunities right now. The American people are paying attention in a way that they haven't, I think, in several decades. They really understand that we've got a series of choices we've got to make in terms of fixing the education system, the healthcare system. And when you mobilize millions of Americans and say, let's think in practical, common sense ways about solving problems, and let's get beyond some of the partisanship we've been involved with, and the bickering and the slash and burn politics, people really respond. I think that's the reason why we're doing pretty well in this campaign.
Yes, but in getting back to the Iraqi situation, in many ways, including the loss of life, it really has been a terrible setback. Because now this has to be solved and rectified and repaired to the best it can before we can go on to all of those other things.
Well, we have set ourselves back in terms of the leverage we have in the world, in terms of our ability to persuade other countries to cooperate with us. And so we're going to have to fix a very difficult situation. But the one thing I always remind people, because they get discouraged, they say, people around the world, they're expressing hatred towards America. People outside of this country are expressing disappointment because they've got high expectations for America. And they want America to lead. They want America to lead through our values and through our ideals and through our example. But they have high expectations of us because I think that this country is still the last best hope on earth.
This is a tremendous suit you have.
You like this one?
This is a beauty.
Yeah. It's a presidential suit.
That is an electable suit.
That's what I'm talking about.
I would vote for that suit. A good-looking suit. Your campaign has raised $25 million so far.
In the first quarter, we've done okay.
And Hillary Clinton's campaign, essentially the same, 22, 23 million, something like that.
Yeah,
and what does this? Why is this so essential now for such high-profile candidates to have this kind of early money? What does that mean?
We've got to advertise on the Letterman show.
Yeah, we can put together a little package for you.
Absolutely. Most of the money goes in television, but we're real proud of the fact that we raised it mostly from small donors. About 90% of the folks who donated on our website, BarackObama.com, they gave it in $100 or less. And what that means is that we're getting a lot of grassroots support around the country. Now, it's just the first quarter, which, so we've got a long way to go.
Is this healthy for the process that so much money this early is being dedicated?
No. I think it would be preferable if we had some form of public financing or free television time. Right. But I think your bosses at CBS wouldn't go for that.
Yeah. And what was the squabble, if in fact that's what you want to call it, or what I call it, between the people in Hollywood? David Geffen is the name that is associated with it. Helps raise money for your campaign. This upsets Hillary. And was there anything to that? And ask that you return the money. Was that what it was?
Yeah, I don't think there was much to that. I have to say that the folks in Illinois or Iowa weren't really worrying about David Geffen getting in a spat with the Clintons. What they're worried about is they don't have health care, or their job moved to China, and they're trying to figure out what's next for them. Those are the kinds of things that people pay attention to. But what is true is that people feel as if Washington, the agenda in Washington is driven by special interests, by lobbyists, and part of the reason we don't take PAC money and we don't take lobbyists' money is because we want to make clear that the agenda that's set for the next presidency has to come from people in the hinterlands and the kinds of day-to-day concerns that they're having to deal with.
The Democratic Party for the last two presidential campaigns has not done as well as they would like. I mean, finishing second in that race doesn't, you don't know.
It's not horseshoes.
No, but now, all of a sudden, we have a tremendous roster of potential candidates.
Great candidates.
Yes, a high-profile, powerful, well-respected individuals. Yourself and Hillary Clinton are two that come to mind. Is having those well-known, those highly qualified, desirable candidates running for the nomination, is that healthy for the party?
I think it is good. We've got terrific candidates, not just myself and Hillary. You've got John Edwards, who's run a terrific campaign so far. Bill Richardson, a terrific governor. I've got a couple of colleagues, Chris Dodd and Joe Biden, and Dennis Kucinich from Congress. And so we've got a great collection of candidates.
You're kidding about Kucinich, right?
No,
Sorry.
He spices things up. He has that devil may care attitude that I think is healthy for presidential.
But you know what I'm getting to? People they say, oh well, this is Barack Obama's. He's only been a senator for 2 years, so maybe we're looking at some sort of a compromise on the ticket. Maybe he'll be the presidential candidate. Hillary might be the vice president. Maybe the reverse of that. Any of that occur at this point or not?
You don't run for second. No, I don't believe in that. Yeah.
But that would be a powerful ticket. Undeniably, that would be a powerful ticket.
Which order are we talking about?
Well, let's say. Let's say you're the presidential candidate. Okay. And Hillary is the vice presidential candidate. Yeah, well, now, if she were sitting here, it would be different than that, but...
I have terrific respect for Hillary. She is a terrific senator. She does a great job for New York.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Is there any thought to that? Is it unspoken? Is it discussed at all? Or is it only the kind of thing that people like to write about and talk about on TV?
I think that all the candidates are in to win. And one of the things about the process is by the end of it, after having gone through all the debates and all the campaigning out in the various states, people get a pretty good sense of who various candidates are. But I think that we're all on the same team. We're all Democrats. I think most of us want to see a healthcare system that provides coverage to everybody. Most of us want to see an education system that gives opportunity to every kid. All of us think that we've got to start getting our troops out of Iraq. And so really what we're doing is we're trying out for quarterback. Yeah. But all of us are going to be...
Let me try it this way, Senator. Let's say that at a certain point in the campaign, we have tangible evidence that the campaigns of yourself and the other senator, the senator from New York, Hillary Clinton, is tearing the Democratic Party in two.
Oh, that won't happen.
Is dismembering, is eviscerating, is emasculating.
I think it is possible that in that kind of situation, we might have to have a brokered convention, and Dave, we might turn to you.
Oh, stop it. And things are going well for you? Your family is doing well, enjoying the campaign?
Family is doing great. You know, I take my kids occasionally. Malia, who's 8, Sasha, who's 5. We take them on the campaign trail, and they see these big crowds. I ask them sometimes, you know, how's it going? And last time I did that, my 8-year-old turned to me and said, "Oh, this is terrific, Daddy, but what are we doing here again?" she wasn't. She wasn't over.
I think it's a question every candidate perhaps will ask at one time or another.
We actually sat down with them to talk about the fact that I might be running for president and asked for their opinion, and they listened very carefully, and then they looked at each other and turned to me and said, "Does this mean we can get a dog?" That was they saw some leverage that they could apply.
That's the only true, honest perspective on the whole thing, I believe. Geez, it's great to see you here again, and perhaps you'll come back between now. I mean, good Lord, it's still 2 years away, isn't it, more or less?
It is.
It's a long, terrible grind.
You know, they give out these keychains that have a countdown on how many days are left in the Bush administration, which I used to think was really funny until I realized that's how long I have to campaign.
Yeah.
It wasn't funny anymore.
A lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah.
And can you still be an effective senator when you're campaigning?
So far, I've only missed 3 votes, and you know, my staff is doing a terrific job making sure that we're tending to constituents back home. But I'm not getting back to Chicago very often, which my wife is starting to refer me as her first husband. It's a little disturbing.
Whoa, that's...
Yeah. It's a little troublesome. I got to spend more time.
Listen, just take care of the suit, okay? Thank you, Senator.
It's great to see you.
Barack Obama, nice to see you. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, Halle Berry.